What's up, guys? Tim here from By the Pump. Just want to get a midweek trade recap and video watch list in, and hopefully I can get these going with a little more frequency than just every weekend. I may not be able to be super on top of it until the fall, but until then, I'm going to do the best I can. So I'm going to start here with SEFE. SEFE had been rebounding into the end of last week as we went over in last weekend's video. Posted a pretty strong Monday, set a high at 230, gap filled back here down to 198 I think was the low, and then closed near its highs. And then this morning looked like it was going to continue setting some new highs at 237 before having this quick panic down to 191. So what I was looking for here when it had this panic down was the fact that it held 190, which was the breakout here on Friday. And I thought that the fact that it held that level was pretty good and pretty significant. So I was looking for it to hold out the rest of the day and then show some signs of strength into the close maybe, or maybe just consolidate all afternoon. As you saw with LUXR in a couple previous video lessons, these pumps like to consolidate for a few days before turning upwards sometimes. So I was thinking maybe consolidation or some strength on SEFE after that panic. It rebounded here, tested 209 quite a few times, couldn't get through it, and then dipped back down, held $2 pretty well. And then if you look here, when it starts to rebound again, it only got back up to 208. It couldn't test 209 again. And then went sideways pretty flat for a while and then cracked through 2. So once it cracked through 2, it retested 191, which was the low from back here in the panic, and held once again. I believe WDCO brought in some big bids to try to help support this. But then even on the rebound here in the late afternoon, it couldn't even test 208, it couldn't test 209, it was another lower high here at 203. So here you've got the pattern of lower highs, the support is staying the same, and then actually we had a really weak close where it actually broke through the 191 support from this morning and was getting some 190 prints off into the close. So this is a really weak looking chart. There's a very good chance, I think, that this gaps down to 185, 180, something like that, and then has another morning panic. Now, when it has this morning panic, let's look to see if it sets higher lows again. Let's see if the panic stops in the 150s, 160s, or if it just goes all the way back down here to 141, 142, where the last round of panic was. If they can keep up the pattern of higher lows, they may not be done with this yet, even though it looks as badly as it does. If we look here at a one-year chart on SEFE, I mean, they tanked this thing from a high of 296 all the way down to 141. So they're not going to bring this all the way back on consecutive up days and then trap a short and have a breakout. I mean, just you're not going to see a pump work like that. You'd have a much more likely double top if that was the case. So it may not be a bad thing that they pulled it back here for a second time. But what we've got to see here is we've got to see a higher low, and we've got to see them maybe bring in size again to help it recover. And I think we're about to enter a phase of the pump here where it's not going to be super tradable, or at least it won't be a great idea to trade it. But if they can set some higher lows and consolidate it and get it back under control, the next thing I'm going to be looking for, the next key point, will be breaking the high of today, which was 237. So I would consider a 237 break down the road here in the next few days or weeks a very bullish sign, and possibly the next step to it taking these 296 highs out. But that is a long way off if they do that, and again, there's not great risk reward at this point. They may just be done with this and flush it tomorrow. We're going to have to see. So those are my thoughts on SEFE right now. Let's move on to LUXR. And LUXR, I've been tweeting about this a little bit. I've talked about it a little bit in the past couple of videos I've done. I was looking for a bullish sign on this before I was going to start trading it. And today we got that bullish sign. Let's look at a 5-day chart here. So here you can see we just had a lot of consolidation over the past three and a half days, where it was slowly setting higher lows here, 110, 112, and then today 116. So it was setting these higher lows, and it was kind of hard to tell if they were going to tank this thing or actually start to bring it back again. We'd see some bounce. because the volume also was falling off. So sideways action and falling off volume usually isn't a great sign. Look at how bad this volume's been. A million on Friday, 550,000 yesterday, and now today we finally got up a little bit. We're back near a million again. And we had a very nice break here, and I actually traded this pretty well. This is the trade I want to recap. So, like last time when I traded it, I believe it set a morning high of 110. This is before the last breakout. It set a morning high of 110. It had a fade from that breakout, consolidated a little bit, and then later that afternoon broke that earlier morning high of 110. And on that break, I bought. So I said in last weekend's video watch list that I was going to look for something similar to happen this time. I was going to look for a morning high to get broken. So we set a morning high here of 124 on LUXR today. Faded back to 116. It slowly built up, and when it went red-green, the red-green mark was 122. So when it went green on the day here, I thought, okay, this might be it about to set up for a move. So then it went sideways and consolidated for a good 30-35 minutes. And in this period, I took a very small starter position of 3,000 shares at 123. It was somewhere in here. And I just sat back on it, waited, was a little patient, and it broke through the high of 124, and it exploded up to 134 very quickly. And I took a little off at 133, I think half of my small position, because I thought, okay, there's going to be a dip coming, and I'll just reload on the dip and add some more size. I was hoping for a dip down to 125 maybe, something like that. I had an order in at 125 for most of the day. Well, after all this time up here, where it was still inching up a little bit, it hit 135, and then it had this quick dip to 130, and there were a few bidders at 130, so I thought that maybe 130 would be the mark where it would hold. So I added to my position there at 130 instead of being patient and waiting like I should have, and then it pulled back a little more. So luckily it didn't cost me. It rebounded. It closed up at 131, 132. But it wasn't great patience on my part. I knew 124 was the breakout here, or the day breakout, I guess. And I should have waited for it to come down a little more, but instead I added at 130, was a bit impatient. So now I'm averaged in about 4,000 shares at slightly over 127, I believe. I'm holding overnight. I'm thinking this is probably going to gap up to 134, 135 maybe. And then we're going to see if they bring it back some more or not. Obviously, we're going to need to see some more volume. 800,000 shares a day isn't going to cut it. But I really do think they could possibly run this thing up a few more days and break past this 162 high and get a good short squeeze going. We're really not too far off of those highs. So keep an eye on LUXR for the next few days, and let's see if they can get that breakout, because that is going to be where I will play with a lot of size if they do get past that. Finally, just a couple thoughts on SNPK. Like I said over the weekend, I thought this was about done. I thought they were just sending out emails to suck in some more buyers to sell into. Looks like today we saw the top of this bounce, about 82.5 I think it was at, and they're starting to liquidate again. No emails during the day, so we'll see if they send out emails overnight on this one. I still really have no interest in trading this. I'm just bringing this up because I think the next one could be coming any day now. Make sure you watch on Thursdays, especially Thursday afternoon, because that is when the last few pumps have been released by awesome penny stocks. So always be ready. But I think there is a decent chance this Thursday they move on to the next one. So let's see if they send out emails on this over the next couple of nights. And even if they are, that's not necessarily a sign that they won't be sending out a new pick this week. But I do believe this is on its tail legs. We're going to start seeing some consecutive down days if they do begin liquidating into this. Then again, though, if I'm wrong and they keep trying to prop this with emails and they can get some more positive price action on it, 82.5 was today's high. I might be inclined to buy that break in the next couple days if they do rebound this. So really just part of being a trader is being flexible, being willing to adapt to what the pumpers give you. So just keep your eye on SNPK for that 82.5 break in the next few days if they do bring it back. But also just keep your eye on your emails. Be ready Thursday afternoons, because the opportunity to get into a stock like SNPK back on day one in the 30s is just too massive to ignore. So keep your eyes open, guys. Good luck this week.